With dynamic ads, you're using technology to insert ads or promos into an episode, which means you need to tell the program where these ads should play. And that's done through ad markers. Think of these as digital bookmarks for your podcast. With dynamic ad insertion, it's important to format your podcast so you have the same amount of ad markers in all of your episodes. And that includes new episodes as well as episodes you've already released. When we think of adding these markers to our episodes, we have to think about a couple of things. First, where should you put the ad markers within your episode? Second, how do you add the markers through your podcast host provider? So let's start with the first question. Always think about the listener's experience. The reason you're going through this whole ad marking process is to avoid ads popping up in inconvenient places, like in the middle of your sentence. You need to find natural breaks within your show. Now, breaks are places where it would make sense to have an ad. The best natural breaks happen when you have a transition in your show. For example, you just welcome your audience. You made some quick announcements, and now you're getting ready to bring on a guest. Bringing on a guest is a change in the flow of your show. So you could easily add a break or an ad marker in between your announcements and bringing on your guest. You can also take breaks while you're talking with your guests, especially if it's a longer interview. This is a little bit harder to do because it can break up the flow of your conversation. So I recommend you use it sparingly. If your podcast has specific segments, then having a quick break in between segments is a great option. Let's talk about how many ad markers you should have now in each episode. This depends on the length of your podcast. I always recommend adding at least one ad marker for a pre-roll and one for a post-roll. That way, you have it just in case you need it. For mid-rolls, the general rule of thumb is that you can have one commercial spot per 15 minutes of content. Most of the podcasts we work with have shows that are anywhere between 30 minutes to 1 hour. In that case, when we convert their episodes to DAI, we add a pre-roll, a post-roll, and 2 mid-roll ad markers in each episode. For the mid-rolls, we double up the ads in those spots. So the listener has the potential to hear back-to-back ads. Personally, I think that's better than taking a break 4 separate times. There is an art to making these ads sound as natural as possible in an episode. And we do have another video where I go through how to create compelling podcast ads in detail. But in this video, this is more about the logistics. Just know this. If you're adding ad markers to episodes you've already released, I recommend keeping this as simple as possible. Physically re-editing episodes, it's just not realistic. So find the most natural breaks you can in each episode and focus more on how to improve your format moving forward so you can lead into the breaks more naturally. To add these ad markers to your episodes, you need to know the time code or the point in the episode for the break. So when you're editing, or if you're fortunate enough to have someone else edit your episodes, write down the time code because you're going to need it later. Let's talk about how to add these markers into your episodes. You may have different features or options. It all depends on your podcast host provider. Our preferred podcast host provider is Megaphone. So today I'm going to show you how to add markers to your episodes using that platform. Okay, we are here in Megaphone and we need to find our episode so we can add some ad markers to it and publish it. So I'm going to go to drafts. This is the episode that I'm working on right now. One thing to keep in mind is if you are going to add ad markers to your shows, you first have to upload the actual episode. Okay, so I would come in here, which I've already done this part, but I would come in here, I would add whatever information that I want to publish. I would upload the episode, click save, and then it's going to pop you back out here, and it may say processing. So you want to wait till it says ready, and then you're going to go back in and add your ad markers, okay? So you'll find that in the top right portion of your screen where it says Ad Locator. Just click on that. And now you've got some options. So earlier I said, for my episodes, I like to include a pre-roll, a post-roll, and then I add several mid-roll spots. So over here, this is really nice. All I have to do is click a button, and it's going to add a pre-roll marker in my episode. So we're not actually adding ads. We are just putting markers in our show. So when we do have ads available, it knows where to play the ads. I'm going to do the same thing for post-roll. That went ahead and put it at the very end of my show. And now I'm going to add my mid-roll spots. And I like to do this according to time code. So I know for this show, I'm going to have 4 separate mid-roll spots. And I have the time codes right here. So I just come in here, see this area I'm working with right here, and I'm going to add the spots according to time code. So the first one is 040640, add. Okay, and you see how this created a mid-roll spot, and all of these are color coordinated, so it really helps you. But mid-roll spots are in red, and I've got 3 more, so 065761, add, and 2 more, 231278, add, and 30, 41, and 45, add. So you can see up here, this is kind of the master view of your entire episode, that I have my pre-roll, my post-roll, and 1, 2, 3, 4 mid-roll spots. And if I wanted to go through and listen and double check to make sure these sounded good, this would be how I did it. So I can put my cursor anywhere in here. I'll just do that here. See how it popped up over here? And I'll hit my space bar.
And the homeopathic asthma medicines, because some of the plants that they use can be harmful in pregnancy.
Okay, so all I'm doing now is listening for that point where the ad marker is, just to make sure that it didn't slip. It's not in the middle of anybody talking or anything like that. Sometimes mistakes happen. So you can go through and double check these spots as well. The other nice thing that Megaphone allows you to do is if you wanted to double up your ads. So right now, do you see how this mid-roll ad marker, it has the time code, and then up here, it says 1x. I can click this and it'll say 2x. So what that just allowed me to do with just a single click of a button is to have back-to-back ads in that single spot. Now in Megaphone, you can't do more than 2 spots, 2 back-to-back spots. See, if I try to add one more, see, it tells me I can't, all right? But I'm good with doing 2 if I wanted to, but I'm only gonna do 1 today. So I have everything laid out here. I can come in here and double check, and if something's a little off, and if I enter the wrong number, I can kind of go back there and add a different number if I wanted to. And then the next part is to come up and save. Just make sure you save your work. And it may take a minute or so. It'll pop you back out to this screen. See how it says audio processing? It's just putting those ad markers in your show so they are available when you want to run an ad. And that is how you add ad markers to episodes in Megaphone. For more information on how we at Independent Podcast Network can help convert your podcast to dynamic ads, we handle all of that for you, and we help sell advertising for your show. So if that sounds good to you, click the link in the description.